right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from Sales Pop, online sales magazine and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Nick Musica, who is literally probably, if I leaned out my window and throw a rock really hard, I could probably hit him.
Yeah,
But
we're pretty darn close, as we just discovered. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. And Nick is an SEO professional since 2003. He launched his own consultancy in 2019, which is called Optics In. Is that right?
Correct. That's it. Yeah.
Optics In, to support small and medium-sized businesses and startups with their SEO needs. And that's what we're going to talk about today is SEO, because I guess in many ways, Nick, SEO is going through a lot of changes right now and a lot of uncertainty. I mean, you had the big, obviously, Google did a big algorithm update. I think it was in November. And now with the advent of AI and stuff and user behavior starting to change around search and stuff, so from your point of view, what's the current state of the SEO industry, if you like?
Yeah. So we could summarize it with, for affiliates and for small publishers, they're having a hard time. I mean, even big publishers having a hard time. Forbes got hit, and some other bigger publishers got hit, and those folks got hit because they were essentially renting out parts of their websites for affiliates, right? So they would have best CBD gummies for name of the year, and that page would rank, right?
Right.
So you could put anything up on there because of the quote unquote domain authority, and it would rank because of that. And so now that's been the most recent second to most recent correction. There's one actually rolling out right now. And so about 2 years ago, AI content started to be really easy to produce, right?
Yep.
So folks who were producing one page are now producing 10. Folks who were producing 10 are now producing 100.
Yep.
We're up to thousands of pages, multiple publishers, and the index got flooded. And this was versions of things, right? That was the easiest content to just keep on pumping out. So as a result, I mean, Google doesn't need that much content, certainly that much mediocre content. And so Google reacted as it typically does when things get imbalanced. Google gave a signal for EAT, right, which was its expertise, authority, and trust. It's sort of its aspiration for what they want in search results. They gave a signal, and they said, we're now putting another E on that acronym. Right. It's experience, expertise, authority, and trust. And I remember seeing that, and I thought, experience, like what's that going to look like, right? Like we already have reviews, we have videos popping, like what's that going to be? Well, fast forward to radical shifts in the search engine results page. What happened? The page that shows up after you put a query into Google, and it was like Quora, Reddit. There was one point where I asked Google in the search bar, why there's so many Quora and Reddit results. And you know what I got back over about 3 pages? Quora, Reddit. I kid you not.
Really, just more and more links to more Quora.
Yeah. And it loosened up over time. Like I kept repeating that query, right? And so it loosened up. There was like 2 sites in there other than Quora and Reddit. Then there's 3, 4. Like I don't know what it looks like today, but it loosened up a bit. So where the current state of SEO is this. Here's the bottom line. If you want to spam Google with AI content and see what happens, go ahead. Really, go ahead. See if you get anything from it. There may be some holes in the algorithm you can exploit, possibly. I don't know if you're in the affiliate game, if you're in the small publisher game, if you don't care about burning your website. It is a tactic that has always been a tactic, right? It's been around for a very, very long time. Find the holes in the algorithm, push on them as much as possible. The algorithm will correct things. Business as usual, right? So we're not quite at the business as usual part. We're still at the what's going on. Google's mucking things up. I mean, I met with a buddy earlier today, and he showed me some queries, and it was really mind blowing. It was like circa 2002, 2003. Like I won't even name some of the sites because it would be embarrassing for him. But it was like site.gov,
Right, right.
and you click on it, and it redirected to another website, right? So effectively, the site was hacked. So
Yeah.
instead of small publishers and affiliates who were, and a lot of good ones got caught up in some nasty
Mhm.
algorithms. Like instead of these folks ranking on page one, right? Like you literally have sites that have been hacked that are
Right.
now going, that are shooting folks off to, I'm not going to call them porn sites, but I'm not going to call them like, but it would be a product that you would find on one of those sites, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
it was from a CBD query, right? So so nastiness is afoot right now with
Yeah,
again specifically small publishers and affiliates. Those folks are having a hard time for proper services, services and products, e-commerce,
Mhm.
easy. There's so much traffic out there still
Right.
for all these folks. You're a lawyer or an accountant, go do it. You have an e-commerce platform for something that's legal, um, because
Yep.
because cannabis, not all the time. Psychedelics
Yeah.
are a conversation that are coming online, right? Mushrooms,
Mhm.
what type of mushrooms
Sure.
are we talking about, right? So there's these conversations that are happening. So not these folks, like
Yeah.
not psychedelics, right? That's not when I say products and services,
Mhm.
even services, psychedelic coaching. Those folks have gotten hit as well, and they may map to the small publisher aspect of
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
But if you're selling legal widgets, if you're selling legal services, there is a lot of traffic out there that can be done through SEO. I mean, where else do you find folks typing in something that essentially sounds like this? I'm looking for thing near me. I'm
Yeah,
looking,
yeah, yeah.
right? Like, where do you find that? It's not in your direct mail. It's not
Mhm.
in your email. It's not on Facebook. It's not it's not. It's in search. It all goes back to search. And I don't care if it's ChatGPT or name the other AI search
Yeah,
engine
yeah.
that's coming out tomorrow, next week, yesterday. I don't care. People are still pulling the results, right? They're pulling the relevant information to them. So you have push and pull marketing. Pushing is
Mhm.
something that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
Someone bought my email. I can't tell you how many emails I get that I just like. I can't wait for Black Friday, and here's why: unsubscribe. I just unsubscribe like a
Yeah,
madman.
yeah.
It's amazing, right? It's like the best day of the year for me because I just unsubscribe. But for push marketing, I'm sorry, pull marketing. Like, how many other places do you type in? Do you talk into something? Do you point at something and go, I want that thing?
Mhm.
Products and services. It's still about search, and search is going to change. It already
Yeah,
has, right? So we're looking sort of like, well, where are people doing that? There's still a ton of people in Google. There's still a ton of people in
yeah.
Bing, which is a small portion of Google, still bigger than a lot of the other AI search engines.
So where do you see the AI search? So where do you see that impacting as people get more used to putting in natural language prompts as opposed to like the old style of search strings? Um, and how does a company optimize itself for AI search?
Yeah. So think about the nature of large language models.
Mhm.
And this has been the complaint for a long time at this point, right? And the considerations of legality is where do they go get them? Where would
Mhm.
you go get them? Well, I would go to the place where all they where the first scraper was, right? And today the best scraper is Google. So it's going
Mhm.
over there, it's scraping the data, it's going over to websites. It has its own database now. It's creating this content. So in order to optimize for these other search engines, you really need to optimize for the search engines that we know to be true,
Right.
right? So a lot of the same things that like I can see, this could be incomplete, this could be different tomorrow because the world is moving like this,
Mhm.
right? But largely, a lot of the same things we talk about from an SEO perspective are still relevant for Google, for Bing, are still
Yeah.
relevant for these AI search engines.
Right. So still, I mean, making your content to be the highest quality, making your website experience to be optimized for the end user. Those things are still the most important because weren't they? Isn't that part of the update that Google did was about the, as you said, about the user experience about, and I think a lot of people got kind of caught out when they suddenly even if you run like page speed and stuff for Google. And so I think a lot of people got surprised, like how they were getting dinged.
Yeah, so think about, let's go back to the AI conversation
Yeah.
in 2 years ago, and who is most likely to use that content? And this is all speculation on my part, right? But then does the speculation actually map to the real world is the
Right.
question, right? So like, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but the end result is products and services are still doing really well, right? But if you were to ask yourself as a software engineer at Google, who's most likely to two things. Who's most likely to use AI content at scale,
Hmm.
right? And who could really sort of care less as to if they were to use it, what's the result? It's going to be small affiliates looking
Hmm.
to make a buck really fast,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right? It's bigger brands. I'm not saying, and I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying they didn't. I have no idea. I don't work there. I'm not,
Hmm.
but Forbes, Bankrate did have some AI content that they called out, right? But bigger companies may be a little bit more self-aware around what could happen. They may be, because they have other streams of revenue, right?
Right.
Other ways of getting traffic. But if
Yeah.
you were to say who's doing this, smaller companies, affiliates, certainly. Affiliates has always been like, it's
Hmm.
a, they get into some interesting places, shall we say?
Sure.
And so here's what happened. All this content goes out, and a lot of good publishers get caught up in what's called the helpful content updates,
Hmm.
right? To the point of, and these are good publishers. These are folks who talk to the experts.
Right.
They wrote the content. They bought the paddle boards. They took pictures of the paddle boards. They took
Right.
video, right? They did all the things you were supposed to do to produce high quality, good content. There's an article that was put out. It was in October, and it basically says it goes through. It highlights a meeting that happened in Mountain View. Google invited a bunch of small publishers, and here's what they said: it's not your content. Despite that you are caught up in, among other things, helpful content updates. John, it's not your content. Also, John, move on.
Wow.
Also, John, we're sorry. These are
Yeah.
all quotes coming out of that meeting, right?
We're
So
sorry came last, I presume.
right, depending on who said it. So if you're, whatever patterns they picked up, and a lot of SEO, a lot of the algorithm is based on patterns. If it looks like
Yeah.
this, it's right. If it has four legs and it's hairy and it meows,
Yes.
it's a cat, right?
Yeah.
They're all cats. Well, maybe there's a funny looking skunk who's just happened to sound like a cat,
Yeah.
right? A little different, but patterns got caught up. We've all seen this type of content: best X, Y, and Z, bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
FAQs at the end, right?
Mhm.
That's a pattern. So if you were
Yeah.
to have that as part of your algorithm, is my guess, and then apply it to the patterns at large, which would take out a lot of AI content, but also some good publishers, that could happen.
Mm.
Not to say that's a bad pattern, because if you're a real
Sure.
the the I catch myself saying, if you're a real company, affiliates are real companies, small publishers, real companies, but real products, real services,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Those folks, brands, which Google will get into a little bit of history. I think it could be helpful for folks, but
Yeah. No, I think
brands
absolutely.
who are producing the content that I just talked about with FAQs at the bottom, still very good, still working, right?
Right.
But here's what happened in 20, I think it was 2011, 2012. There were two back to back very large algorithm changes that came through from Google. There was the Penguin update and the Panda update.
Hmm.
I forget at this point what mapped to what, but I believe it was again 2012. I'm sorry, 2011. There was a huge rollout, and it targeted thin content. Right?
Right.
There were
Yeah.
there were there were pages on. I remember one specific website being called out. It had like 3 pages about how to boil an egg. How many pages do you need about boiling an egg? No, probably no more than one, right? So take
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
idea, multiply it out by thousands, hundreds of pages, whatever the actual number is. It's a low quality website, thin content, and how
Mhm.
much copy does it actually take to write how to boil an egg? Not too much.
Mm.
Also, these pages had like 600 words on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
obviously boiling an egg is very complicated. Well, it didn't work out well for them. So a lot of those sites went missing. And the conversation at the time was, oh, Google's favoring brands. That's what they're doing. Look at all these brands in the search results.
Mm,
Well, yeah. Yeah, because they didn't have 3 pages of how to boil an egg, right? Maybe they're doing
mm.
some of the same things.
So they were targeting quality, really. I mean, at the end of the day, they're
That's it.
targeting quality, not brands.
That's right. And they're more willing to take a look at some of the sites that are brands versus smaller publishers and affiliates and take a look to see what that could look like. Rumor has it they're working with Forbes to see what this could look like,
Mm.
right? And I imagine they're doing that with a bunch of other publishers.
Uh,
Imagine if all the good websites were doing something a little sketchy because they made a whole lot of money doing that. Well, some of what I said is true for a lot of
mhm.
folks. So what would happen if you took out all of your favorite, what you would typically find on a newsstand, right?
Yeah.
What would happen if you took all of them out of the search results? What's actually left?
Well, yeah, doesn't it? You're back to Reddit.
Right, right. So I might as well just go to Reddit,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, it's almost like back in the day, like
Yeah.
talking to
And
mom
by the
and
way,
dad.
Reddit are they're adding an AI search capability soon too. So they're trying to make their content more accessible.
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, it's almost like back in the day where you would. I mean, it's sort of funny, but maybe not. Like back in the day, you would talk to mom and dad, and you go, the internet, and they go, yeah, AOL. And you're like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, no, no,
yeah.
there's this bigger thing out there called the internet. No, 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 it's right, it's AOL. Like, oh, okay, so
Yeah.
like if Google's just going to go that way, just call Reddit the internet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but for just to be really clear, like while these sites are having a hard time, the publishers, the affiliates, I would bet $1, not today, but in 6 months, 9 months, a year, that they're gonna come back. Something is gonna happen. They'll be available, right? The internet needs balance. It just needs balance to it, right? You
Yeah,
need
yeah.
experts saying the things they say. You get snippets of that from Quora and Reddit. You get a lot of bad content in Quora and Reddit. Um,
Mm,
experts are experts because that's who they are, and they talk about those things. Um,
yeah.
for
So do you
today,
think yeah,
brands and
so
products.
yeah, so do you see that, I mean, it is really a push to get to quality content. I mean, at the end of the day, to for quality assurance to kind of take things up a level, particularly now that, as we said, that AI has been producing tons of content, people have been getting away with it. It's back to quality content, quality experience. It's almost like they're trying to push you back to doing some hard work.
It almost feels that way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. I mean, yes, 100%, I agree. Yeah, so we work
Mhm.
with a lot of products and services. Um, we don't work with affiliates, we don't work with, small publishers. We used to a little bit, but that's
Mhm.
changed.
Yeah, yeah. And so just briefly, where do you see this? Where do you see this going? Because in many ways, I know people always react, and they people are always upset when this algorithm changes or this changes. But it seems to me like that these changes, although they have required, I mean, we've done a lot of work ourselves. It has required a lot of work to make sure that you're compliant with everything. But it seems to me at the end of the day that the intention this time seems to be a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's intention, then there's bad algorithms, right?
Right.
So when Google has a meeting in Mountain View and they bring small publishers in who did everything they said to do,
Mhm.
and they're still on the bad end of the stick,
Yeah.
then that's a bad algorithm,
Yeah.
right? You got caught up with everyone else, right? It's a little bit like you're hanging out with the bad kids, and the cops pulled you in too, type of thing, right? It's like, but you weren't doing anything bad. Well, you certainly look like a bad kid. You're part of the group, right? Um, but yeah, it is about quality. At the end of all of it, at the end of all of
Mhm.
it, it's about quality. And Google every once in a while, because what SEOs are really good at doing is sort of finding the holes in the
Yeah.
algorithm and then exploiting them, and or taking perfectly good marketing tactics and just pushing on that super hard, and like it's almost like stocks, right? It's like
Yeah.
when when a hot stock tip gets put out there, chances are that's not a hot stock tip anymore. But
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
doesn't mean that a million people aren't going to go buy that stock, right?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so you get the latest greatest tip that hits the internet about SEO, and then everyone goes, "Oh, that's how you do it. That's how you do
Yeah.
it."
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then everyone goes and does that. Meanwhile, what everyone is not doing, whoever everyone is in this case, a lot of people, is
Mhm.
they're not focusing on what are the three pillars of SEO, which have been true for 20 years. The expression is still is has evolved for
Sure.
reasons, but the three pillars are your technical SEO, your website. Can
Yeah.
your website can be crawled and indexed by Google, and then can it
Mhm.
be ranked, which brings us to your on page.
Yeah.
What do you have on your website and how do you talk about it? Your products, your services, what your long form content, and then what does the rest of the world think of you? Are they linking to you and what are they saying about you?
Mhm.
It's those three things that is still true.
Yeah. So yeah, which basically then means like if you continue to do the hard work and execute against those three, that you should be able to ride through any algorithm change. And in fact, you should be able to come out pretty
That's right.
good because I feel like I mean we live in this shortcut culture, as you know, Nick, and I feel like people are. I mean, in your industry now, you're probably seeing these ones where they're cropping up saying, "Oh, we'll do your SEO for $99 a month with AI. You know, just subscribe to our service and all of this." And I feel like it's trying to tap into getting away from doing the hard yards, and that's
Yeah.
appealing to some people until they discover that it doesn't really work.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. And then I talk to those folks and they go, "Oh, SEO doesn't work." Right. But well,
And then
tell me.
eventually they come back to someone like you, yeah.
Right, right, right. So I mean, and I get those emails too.
Mhm.
I get form submissions, I get emails, I get all the LinkedIn's as well. And I get the offers for 19.99 or buy links or terrible
Mhm.
content. I get all those too. And I don't buy from those folks.
Right.
Um, the latest one that I get is, "Hey, we can help you scale your business. Um, would you want to would you want to scale your business to $1 million, Nick? Sure, sure, I would. Um, do you want to set up some time so that we can get you some referrals? No, I don't
Oh,
think so.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah,
Well, listen, Nick, this has been fascinating. It's such a fascinating subject, and maybe you come back again, mid next year, and we can talk and see where things have evolved from there. All of Nick's information will be below this video. But before we go, Nick, please do tell people a little bit more about you and what you do.
yeah, yeah. Thanks. So I personally been working in SEO and web design and digital marketing space since 2003. Um, it was 2019 where I stepped out and launched my own consultancy, focusing on small businesses, medium-sized businesses who are looking to grow their SEO traffic for sustainability reasons. Right? SEO is amazing in terms of being able to support brands in the long term. If
Right.
you're looking to build in revenue tomorrow, bring in revenue tomorrow, go buy ads, right? But if you're looking to like really be the dominant player in the space for years to come and you have patience to get there, SEO, like go look online, go see who's up there for the products you serve, right?
Yeah.
Or that you sell. Those folks did their SEO, right? So it's
Mhm.
yes, it's possible, and for a lot of folks like that, they're doing really well. So we work with those folks who want to build their brand for the long term and get the results, and we work with them with their technical, their on page, and their off page.
Perfect. Well, listen, that's fantastic. Thanks, Nick. And as we were saying earlier, you're going to get bombarded with a lot of people telling you they're going to be able to do this and that for you, or AI is going to do this and that for you really quickly. I would encourage you before you pull the trigger on anything is go check out people like Nick and his company and shall we get an experienced opinion on these things before you jump into another shortcut
Yeah,
$99
here's what I
shortcut.
suggest for folks, John, is if they're curious about SEO, go to opticsin.com, reach out to us. Let's get a discovery call.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's good for you. Let's see if it meets your expectations. Let's see if we should be working together. But we always start every engagement off with a discovery call to see why folks want to step into SEO.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, listen, thanks, Nick. Thank you for watching and listening, and I will see you all again very soon. Thank you.